ability to sweep a profile with a reference surface. So there's two ways to do this. One is with the regular old sweep tool, explicit sweep with reference surface, and the second one is as an adaptive sweep. So I'm going to start off here with the regular sweep tool, explicit with reference surface. Let me show you what I have here to begin with. So I've got an undulating surface. On one end I have a cosine curve, by the way, created with a law and the parallel curve tool. On the other end I have a sine curve, and I've joined those together with a loft. So this creates my little underlying surface here that I can use as a reference surface. So I've got a loft between them, so let's jump to the sweep tool. So the sweep has four profile types: explicit, line, circle, and conic. I'm going to go with the explicit, which requires you to select a profile. And under explicit, there are three subtypes. You have with reference surface, which I will demo today. And then you have with two guides or with a pull-in direction. So I'm going to do with reference surface. The profile, in this case, is going to be a sketch. And before I show you the sketch, let me show you, before I select this, let me get in and show you what this sketch looks like. I kept it open. At the last minute, I put in some rounded corners. Sometimes I'll keep those sharp to begin with, just to make sure the sweep works correctly before I round them. So these will end up being parameters later, but I've got a 60-degree angle that I can adjust if necessary, and I've got a 1-degree angle that I can adjust if necessary later. Right now with the sweep tool, not as important, but this will come back later, and I'll show you what this means, especially when we get into the adaptive sweep. I did extend this further out. I just feel more comfortable doing that because I'll end up doing a trim. I just want to make sure that that passes through completely. It's probably poor modeling practice, but it is what it is. And then my guide curve, which the second point, the beginning point in my sketch, will be coincident to. The guide curve was a sketch curve that I projected up onto the surface. So that's a curve on surface that I can use, and I'm going to use as my guide curve for my sweeps. So let's get into the sweep tool. With reference surface, my profile will be the sketch. My guide curve will be this projected. And now, CATIA is going to try to calculate a mean plane. In other words, it's going to keep this profile at the same angle throughout the sweep. And so CATIA will naturally at first try to calculate one for you, but I'm going to be more intentional here, and I'm going to select this as my profile, as my reference surface. So what it's going to do as it sweeps, it's going to keep that same angle of the horizontal axis of my sketch. It's going to keep the same angle of this axis, horizontal direction, and the surface is going to keep that same angle to the surface as it sweeps through. And there's one solution, and I've got another solution. It says 4 solutions, but really there's 2. So that's another possible solution. I'm going to go back to 1, which is what I wanted. So it's going to keep that angle throughout the sweep. So if I was able to measure that angle, you would see that as it sweeps through, it will keep that angle. So I've got, that's a sweep, and you can notice what's happening. So for demo, let me just show you what happens here. So this is one of the ends, and I've got this sine curve created with a law, and I did that intentionally so I can go into my sine law, and I've got an amplitude here of this law. Let's see what this looks like. So I've got it set at 5 millimeters. So let me adjust this out to 20. So the amplitude right now from my original curve up to the peak was 5. Now I'm adjusting this that amplitude will be 20, so it'll be 4 times more. So you'll see this curve pop up, and what you should also see, I want you to focus in on this, is that this will keep that angle. So watch what happens when I hit OK. See, it adjusts around, but it kept that angle as it sweeps through. That is the reference, a sweep with reference surface. So I'm going to change this back to 5. So an adaptive sweep. So it's behind this normal sweep tool. I'm going to use the same guide. And so when I select the same guide, which is this projected curve, it's recognizing that it's a curve on surface, so it will select it as the spine, and also it will go ahead and select the multi-surface, I'm sorry, the reference surface, in this case a multi-surface. The sketch, and it has to be a sketch, it can't be a wireframe entity, but the sketch, it wants you to select the sketch, and I'm going to select it here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK without doing anything else, just to show you that if I hit OK here, it's the same surface as the original with reference normal sweep. So I just wanted to demo that to you. So I'm going to get rid of this original sweep. I'll start the adaptive sweep over, and let me get into it. So adaptive sweep, again, just reselecting that curve on surface and then my spline, and then I'll show you the power of the adaptive sweep. So what I can do with the adaptive sweep is I can adjust these parameters as it sweeps at certain points, section points or user sections. So I can come down here to this end of my guide curve and select that as a section, and then let's say if I do this end as well. So what I want to do, just for demo purposes, is I'm going to increase the values of some of these parameters in these two new sections. So let's go to this end. So I've got this point, so this is section 3. You can see it's section 3 here. And then I can adjust this 0.237. And by the way, I'm working in inches now. So there's my 0.237. These are all the parameters from that sketch. You notice I've got 260s, I've got several, I've got a 1 degree, which I use to adjust this horizontal line, to tweak it if I need to tweak it, or adjust it just a little bit. But for this one, I'm going to adjust this up to, I want to get bold here. Let's go up to 0.5. See how that value went to 0.5? And then I'm going to decrease this slightly to 0.1. Okay, so adjustments on that end. And then let's go down to, just go to the second section. I want to make this one slightly smaller, so I can come in here and do let's go 0.1875, and then let's make it slightly deeper. And I can do a section preview here, and it will show you what all the interpolated sections will look like as it sweeps through. You can see right here, let me just go ahead and hit OK. You can see my sweep as it goes through. So it gets wider as it gets down to this end. See the angle here. That's really not too bad. One of the reasons why I put this angle parameter in, you can see it right there. There's a 1 degree angle parameter. That's the angle between the horizontal axis and its bottom, is just in case I want to decrease. See, you can see it decreasing now just a little bit. So I can tweak that, adjust it slightly as my section sweeps around. Sometimes it will sweep around and you will lose some of your rounded corners, you'll get some issues, but I think that's looking really well. So what I can do with this is I'm going to do a trim. So I can trim off there and there. and there's my surface as it sweeps through. You can kind of capture. I wanted it to get wider and more shallow with 3 sections, and the 3 sections I put in were just points on the curve. I could put in more points on my curve if I wanted to and have those. So 2 different ways to use reference surfaces within a sweep. You have the normal sweep tool with explicit and with reference surface, and then this is the adaptive sweep. So I hope that helps.